Today we're going to be using our soft pastels with Prismacolor, so stick around. Hey everybody, this is Rachel. Welcome to PencilStash, a weekly show about adult coloring, colored pencils, tips, tricks, and how-tos. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, or better yet, the bell button to be notified when I've uploaded new content. And don't forget to hit the like button. It actually helps new folks find my channel. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on using soft pastels with your colored pencils. A great tip for backgrounds, large areas. They work really, really well. But I traditionally use them with oil-based colored pencils such as Faber Castels because the wax-based ones like Prismacolors will actually pick up some of that pigment from the soft pastels. So I've been getting a lot of questions about how to maybe still use them. So today we're going to answer some of those questions and I'm going to show you how to use the soft pastels with your Prismacolors. So let's head over to my desk and we'll get started. So hopefully you've already watched my video on using soft pastels with your adult coloring. If not, I'll have a link to it down below in the comments. I strongly encourage you to watch that video first, as today's video is a follow-up to that video, as I've been getting some great questions in the comments, and I hope to address some of those questions today. So some people have asked if soft pastels can be used with Prismacolor colored pencils, and the short answer is yes. However, because Prismacolor pencils are wax-based and soft pastels are oil-based, you need to use them in a particular way. In that previous video, you saw me haphazardly placing the soft pastel powder right over top of the oil-based colored pencil page. This is fast and easy and creates a great look. However, if you do use the Prismacolors with this, it will pick up the pigment of the soft pastels. So, onto our demonstration page here. Please ignore the fact that this page is quite ugly. I tried to use a variety of colors, including lots of white and gray so that you could really see what the pastels do to the color range, but unfortunately it's not the prettiest. But anyway, it's just for demonstration. So I've taken a fine tip Sharpie pen and drawn a line right down the middle of the page on a diagonal. On the upper portion, I've colored the page with Faber Castell pencils, which are oil-based. On the lower portion, I've colored the page with Prismacolor pencils, which are wax-based, trying to use as similar colors as possible to the Faber Castell side. As you can see, the two sides look very different based on the pencils that I've used. Now, again, I've been very intentional with lots of white and gray on the page. In the areas that look like these in these flowers, I have not left those blank paper. I have indeed used either my white Faber-Castell or my white Prismacolor based on the side of the page to fill that space. You will need a set of soft pastels. Any set will do. I just have a cheap one here for demonstration. The pastels themselves look like scored-off chalk. And similar to chalk, the pigment will get all over your fingers and the surrounding area. So make sure that you take that into account in your working space. I like to put a few pieces of cheap scrap paper underneath or in the book itself behind my page to protect my desk and the other pages in the book itself. You also need a utility knife, a few cotton pads, usually found in the makeup aisle of any big box store, and some cotton swabs or Q-tips. First, I'll demonstrate that haphazard way of applying the pastel on the outer edge of the Faber-Castell side. Hold the pastel and scrape the surface lightly with your utility knife, keeping those lovely fingers well away from the blade. This motion will flick the powder onto the surface of your drawing. You'll notice it isn't very easy to control exactly where the pastel lands, but you can control it slightly. Now we'll take our cotton pad, wrap it around our finger, and rub the pastel into the paper using rubbing or circular motions. On the Faber Castell side, you can see the yellow pastel isn't picked up by the colored pencil layer, even in the areas that I colored white. Now let's do the same technique on the Prismacolor side. As you can see, the Prismacolor clearly picked up a lot of that yellow pigment. Here in the gray, even in the green, and especially on the white areas. This is not going to work and may have even just ruined the artwork that you just tried to use it for. Now, if you still really want to use these two mediums together, it still can be done, using this little beauty right here, our Q-tip. It is a precision instrument with many uses, including your artwork. So there's a couple things we can do with this. Since we have this large center area and the letters are colored yellow already, you can use the flicking technique here, but you just need to make sure that you do so well away from the edge of your colored pencil drawing. You can even flick some onto a piece of scratch paper and pick up the pigment with your Q-tip, whichever way works best for you and for your piece, but I would strongly encourage you to practice. Now you can take your Q-tip and push it around the paper with much more precision than your cotton pad, including into all the little crevices and right up against your colored pencil work. The other thing that you can do is use the pastel itself right on the page. The squared edges are good for little areas and you don't need full coverage since you need to go in afterwards with your Q-tip to blend it in anyway. You'll see the pigment is a lot richer with this method. Don't forget too that you can layer and blend your pastels to create new colors and looks, but try to experiment first on a piece of scratch paper. Alright guys, I hope this video answered some of your questions, but as always, if you have more, leave me a comment below. Pastels are a great medium to play around with and incorporate them into your adult coloring, as long as you learn the little quirks of how to use them. Here's our featured work artists for the week. If you'd like to submit your work for featuring here on the channel, you can post your work in our PencilStash adult coloring group on Facebook or on Instagram using the hashtag PencilStash. If you liked this week's video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. You'll find lots more tutorials and demonstrations on my channel's homepage by clicking my photo. And don't forget to visit PencilStash.com to read my blog. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.